Hi loves, hope you're well. I'm going to address the first elephant in the room. If you watched it on YouTube, I haven't got a bra on. I don't know if you can see my nipples or not. If you can, congrats. I'm sorry. If you can't, then again, congrats. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I didn't want to put a bra on, so that's that. Second elephant in the room is I missed a week last week and I'm sorry. And I do just want to say, on a serious note, thank you for being so patient with me. I do just feel like I've been absolutely rubbish. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I've just been shit at life lately. And I took another trip. I don't even think I told on the last episode because I don't even know if I knew about it then. Every trip I've taken this year has been spur of the moment, last minute. Apart from San Diego, actually, but whatever, allow it. Everything's been last minute and I've just been in that YOLO, it is what it is, gotta get it done phase. So yeah, I was in the south of France last weekend, bougie, only for a few days. But yeah, I just couldn't get the podcast together. And like I said, I'm just feeling like it hasn't been good enough. So I'm saying it now to hold myself accountable. I had such a nice message from one of you guys. I don't even think it was last week. I think it was the week before. And it was a nice message, so lovely, but it still made me sad because she said that she could tell that something wasn't right, like for the last, well, basically since the beginning of the year, because my pizzazz had gone. And it was so nice because you still listen. So I'm like, thank you so much for sticking with me through this time. But also just like made me sad. And I thought, oh my God, like you've got to just try and sort yourself out. So yeah. I'm sorry. It's just been an overwhelming time, you know. Am I allowed to talk about work? I don't know. I don't know if I'm allowed. I don't know if I ever told you, but I went skiing a couple of years ago with work, with my old job, my last job. And I did a little vlog. I didn't put anyone in it. I didn't say the name of the company. But I did say that I was on a work trip because I didn't want to lie and be like, oh, I'm skiing, as if like, I don't know, I was paying for it myself or whatever. I just wanted to be like a little bit transparent, to be like, I'm on a work trip. And yeah, my old boss or like office manager or whatever found it and asked me to take it down. And yeah, the whole time, like when they found out I had a podcast and stuff, I was embarrassed. Not that I'm embarrassed about having a podcast at all, but when you're a corporate girl, especially me in my corporate girl mode, I'm very serious. And everyone in the office always tells me this. They're always like, if they see me in drinks, they always say I'm like a different person to when I'm in the office. I'm like, I just want to get my head down. I want to be professional. And quite frankly, usually I don't want to be there. So I don't want to talk to anyone. It's different in this job because I'm not in the office every day. But in the last one, I was there 4 days a week. And I know it's first world problems, but it just used to absolutely drain my soul. Like if you knew me at that time in my life, it was bad. It was a bad time. For no real reason. Anyway, I'm going way off track. So I don't know if I can talk about work, but I'm just going to tell you. It's just been really, really busy. And obviously, what I do, this podcast, could be a full-time job. Like everything that's involved in. I'm not complaining, but it's a lot. So when you're also doing another job and it's actually so busy, it's just been a little bit overwhelming for me. I feel like I've just been getting absolutely nothing on social media. So yeah, thank you for sticking by me. I knew it was bad. I went away. I had to work on my last night of holidays, which, to be fair, I don't really mind. I haven't had to do it this whole time. I've been away like 4 times, I think, with this new job, and I haven't had to work once, which was really good. And it was like a special circumstance, and I'm always going to want to help somebody, and it's still my job even if I'm away, do you know what I mean? So it didn't really impact the night that much. It was right at the end of the night. Whatever, I had to do a little bit of work, that's fine. But obviously that like mentally does cut the holiday a bit shorter, doesn't it? And then the next day, I got home like late, and then obviously I'm in work the next day. And it was like back with a bang. You know, like when you start back work after a holiday, I feel like the holiday feels so far away. I literally had to do my timesheet today and I was like, was I away this week or last week? Because it feels like last week when in fact I've only been home 3 days. It's wild. So it was quite an overwhelming day, but it is what it is. I dealt with it. The next day I went into the office and it's just the office days. I think I've said before, I do like anywhere between 12 and 15,000 steps on an office day. Like it's cardio city. And I had this meeting and they were like just hounding me with work. And have you done this? And did you do this? And did you do this? And I'm the type of person that's always like, yeah, I don't like I've said to you before, I don't like to say I'm struggling. I don't, especially in work, I like to think and believe that I can do whatever. I'm like, this is my job. People have much harder jobs, much more stressful jobs. Like my boss, for one. Like if I'm stressed, how can I expect my boss not to be? Do you know what I mean? When everything is like so much bigger. So I just take everything on board and I'm like, yeah. But your gal had reached her limit. Even though I'd been on holidays, they were asking me to do stuff and I literally just went like this. Guys, I'm not going to lie, I'm drowning. I've been on holidays, so no, I haven't done what you asked me to do yesterday afternoon. And I went to be like firm but fair, but my voice broke. My voice broke right at the end. So it was given mental breakdown. So it didn't quite give off the vibes that I wanted. Because I just get so emotional. I'm such an emotional friggin' piece of meat, like. So my voice broke, but I did hold it together. I was in the office and I thought, do not cry on this work call, you stupid girl. We all know that I've been a corporate saddie in my time and I'm really trying to not be a corporate saddie anymore. So I literally, even though I was on Zoom, couldn't make eye contact through the lens. I was like looking up. They were like, as soon as my voice broke, they were so lovely. Like my team was so nice. Like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? If it's too much, let us know. Don't suffer in silence. And I thought, if I look at you and continue talking, I'm just going to cry. And I'm sat at my desk, so I can't have that happen. And also, I don't want to cry in front of you. Because I've cried in front of both of these people before. And it's just embarrassing for me, like embarrassing. I just don't want it. Like, how many more people do I have to cry in front of this year, please? So I was like, yeah. And I think I just came across as a cold bitch. But look, it worked. They did lay off me for the rest of the day. And today I had a much calmer day where I was just able to get on. But sometimes it's just too much, guys. And I know there's going to be people listening that do harder jobs than me. You've got kids. I know. I literally watch the Kardashians and I hear them moaning about being, well, not moaning, but they like say how hard it is being full-time single mothers. And they've got like 3 nannies. So I know I'm a gal with very few responsibilities. So I know it's first world problems. But sometimes life is just overwhelming. Sometimes it's just so busy. It's just not enough hours in the day. So anyway, what was I even saying? Basically, long story short, I'm sorry for missing a week. And I'm hoping from now, I've literally got no plans really next weekend. So I'm hoping to just knuckle down and get some sort of plan together. Like I'm literally a PA. Is my job is organising people's lives. Can I organise my own? Absolutely not. I went on this trip to, we stayed in Nice and then we went to Monaco, bougie. We went to Eden Rock, no Hotel de Cap, Eden Rock, which is, it's weird to say. It's not like a bucket list place or anything like that. But it's just one of those places I've always looked at in pictures and you see it on social media, like Sophia Richie got married there. And I've always seen it and been like, oh my God, like how stunning does that look? Like would love to stay there, would love to go there, wherever. I mean, I didn't stay there, not yet. But we went around all these places and my friend, like I just didn't have the mental capacity to plan a trip. I barely had the capacity to go on it or even book flights. Like I said, it was so last minute. And thankfully, my friend booked it all and she booked a lunch there. And even when she first told me, I've booked a lunch at this super nice place. And I was like, right, yeah, okay. I didn't even bother asking. Like, I'm the easiest, most chill person to go away with because I just have, well, especially at the minute, I just haven't got the capacity. I have no expectations. I just have not got the mental capacity to deal with anything until like it comes. So thankfully, she booked it. And yeah, I was so pleased. It was so nice. But yeah, we went together. We both going through breakups, our own shit, wherever. And It was super fun, we went out one night and we were at this like super fancy piano bar and we were like, okay, lovely, we had a lovely glass of wine, snacks, whatever. We were like, oh, it's going to be live music. It was a little warm up to the night, you know, thinking we were going to have a good time. The singer had other ideas. The singer wanted to ruin our lives, I think. He sang the saddest songs. I can't remember all of them. I remember... Imagine all the people, which I know isn't that sad, but when it's number 5, after 5 like absolutely soul destroying, what do they call them, ballads? My friend particularly is very, very sensitive to sad songs. I'm an R&B girly, so I listen to sad songs probably 8 times out of 10 anyway, so I'm a little bit numb to them because that's just the vibe I like. She's very sensitive to sad songs, to the point that even when we were getting ready to go out, I had a dance list playlist on, and any, like, do you know Jubel? Save me, save me, save me. I love that song. She heard the slow beat, she was like, no, skip it, skip it, skip it. She's very sensitive to them at the minute. So she was literally like, Sadie, I'm going to have to leave. She's like, I'm going to have to leave the bar. I was like, well, we can't waste this wine. It's cost us about €30 a glass. We were in Monaco. She was like, I have to leave because I'm going to cry. And I don't know genuinely if he heard her or not, but immediately after that song, he did start to pick it up. Like, thank God, but it was actually so funny. Anyway, I feel like I've been rambling just about myself. I have a lot to say. This is what happens when you miss a week. I missed a week. I'm feeling a bit better. And I just want to chat to you. But let's actually go into a story. My parents divorced when I was young and I had a terrible relationship, so I always intended to do better. 8 weeks into a relationship with a colleague, I got pregnant. 8 weeks after that, our very new relationship fell apart and I was alone and pregnant. Hopefully not still in work. Alone and pregnant by a colleague in the same job. That's a whole different level of mental strength needed to get through that, so well done to you. After the toughest year raising a baby on my own, I started seeing an old school friend. He wasn't perfect, but he loved my child like his own, and so following my need to provide the real family, I pretended it was perfect. A year down the line, we moved in together, and in the absence of the real father, he became the only dad my child knew, so of course when he proposed, I said yes. Friends could see it wasn't great. He's a lovely guy and a devoted dad, but we are on different wavelengths and just not right for one another. Despite that, we got married. 6 months into our marriage, I woke up one day and knew I'd made a mistake. It was so awful because I had to make the decision to stay and be miserable or go and break up a whole family unit. I lasted about a month of this swirling around in my head, and we were driving along one day to go shopping and I said, I don't want to do this. He said, what shall we do instead? Oh, he thought you meant you didn't want to go shopping. Oh, God. So I had the worst conversation of my life whilst driving. I explained I was referring to our life, not the shopping trip. Oh, my God. Do you know what? I relate so much to this, so I must have said the story before, where when you're thinking about breaking up with somebody, especially as a woman, you tend to go over and over and over that in your head for weeks and months, and then it will just come out at the least planned time. Like, I just feel like we suppress it so much that then it just comes to the top of your throat and you just can't control it, then it's out. And my one like this was when I broke up with my ex like years and years ago when I was in uni. And we went to the gym and we did a gym session and I was really irritated. I'd done like some sort of job in the day when we went to the gym, and I'm driving back to his and we're literally at a red light and I was like, I can't do this anymore. At the red light. And he's like, no. Not like he knew straight away. I think I tried to break up with him before. And I'm like, yes, we're breaking up and it has to happen now. And I said, like, I've definitely said the story before, because when you get to that point, you just become numb to it. And then it comes across so much worse because he's like upset and come in and talk. And I'm just like, I'm done. Like, I've been thinking about this for 3 months. Like, it is done. And I've already actually moved on in my head. Not like to another person, but you know what I mean? Mentally. Oh my God, the worst thing. Okay. She said, it was awful for the next 4 months while we sorted the house sale and still co-parented. His family and mine all assumed I was cheating and no one would speak to me. That's out of order. There's plenty more reasons why you break up with somebody. My first boyfriend's mother, when I broke up with him, came on the phone, and one of the first things she asked me was, is there someone else? And I was like, no, it's because your son is completely controlling and he won't let me go out anyway without bursting into tears. Like, do you not think maybe that's a good enough reason to break up with him? Not because I'm cheating? Bloody hell. Also, sometimes people just grow apart or fall out of love, which is so sad, but sometimes like that just happens. All our friends thought I was up to something, so it was just terrible because no one could understand how I would just leave this lovely guy, and in the middle of it was my child, who was now our child, and trying to assure I didn't damage the relationship. Oh my God, that's so sad. The thing is with that, like, you've gone married, and I think in that part, or in that decision making, you've put your child first, and you've put the family first, and you've put him first, and you've tried it. But you knew going into it that wasn't going to right, and you still tried it. So I don't know how, obviously not that these people knew that, but you've tried it and you've done it for 6 months and you know that it's not working for you. Then how do people expect you to put yourself aside for so long, you know? Like, when you break up with somebody, it's not usually just a spur of the moment split decision, especially not by a woman, I don't think. So I find it really unfair that people forget that and think, wow, can you break up with somebody so perfect? Like, if you're not happy, you're not happy. Thankfully, he still wanted to be in my child's life, even though his family really didn't. That is the sweetest thing, by the way. And because neither of us had cheated or damaged our trust, we were able to move to a really good place of friendship. It was the most heartbreaking time. Even though I didn't love him, I loved having the picture-perfect family and what that looked like to everyone else. It was also really awful to have already had 2 dads in and out of my child's life and still be on my own. I stayed single for 5 years. I didn't want to ruin my child's life and situation with their dad by bringing someone else in. It was hard and lonely, but it has been the best thing for their relationship and mine with my ex-partner. Oh my God. Like, see, that is so selfless. And the fact that, like, his family and friends and stuff wouldn't talk to her, like, that is the most selfless thing. Being alone for 5 years, not to disrupt them, like, that's crazy. And also, I love it that this proves that people would rather be by themselves than in unhappy relationships, which I think is nice. Because sometimes you hear about, like, people settling and stuff, which I know some people do, but not everyone does, and that doesn't always have to be the answer to things. You haven't always just got to settle just because you're a certain age, or just because you've got kids, or because you haven't got kids and you want a child with this person. Like, people can move on. He's remarried, and even though him and I don't spend time together now, he is still the most amazing dad, and I know I was meant to marry him to give my child that loving, perfect parent that their biological dad refused to be. That's so lovely, and you know I always love to think everything happens for a reason, and that is the reason. Like, how amazing of him to still, well, he is obviously the child's father, but because he's not biologically, he technically has every right to not be in that child's life anymore, so that's just amazing. Fast forward a few more years and settled into my single life, I'm at a friend of a friend's party. There, I very literally and very drunkenly fall into the lap of a stranger, someone who was only in town for the weekend. We stayed in touch, and now we are married with children of our own and living the life I only ever dreamed of. It wasn't easy to start with. Distance and his family weren't keen on someone with a child being in his life. I'm sorry, what is wrong with these partners' families? Like, can you just not let your son live, please, and just make his own decisions? Like, he's a grown man. My God. His ex stalked us to the point I had to take out a restraining order. That's his love what luck story. But we were meant to find each other. I'm sorry, that's wild. But we were meant to find each other, and my children have a wonderful life. My youngest loved their older sibling's dad and vice versa, and I know this was what I was waiting for. I never think any of what happened to me was by mistake. It led me to a wonderful life full of love. Oh my God, that is such an amazing story. I love the how you just met somebody, you fell into their lap, and he was only in town for the weekend. Like, the timing of that is amazing and so meant to be. And it just shows that, like, you can make something work. Obviously, they had all those issues, the distance and the family and stuff and the ex. And now they're married and happy. that is a lush story. Absolutely love it. And remember, guys, if you've got a story to tell me, then please send it to sadie@loveoutluck.com or just DM me. All the links are in the show notes. Now, another thing I want to talk about briefly this week is how amazing it is when you can look back at situations that you've had or you've done wherever, and you're handling them so much better now. So I had a couple of these actually on the trip, like on the recent trip that I went on. So I was thinking, like when I went for that lunch by myself, I was remembering when I went to Bali by myself, I remember going into a beach club there and feeling like a little bit embarrassed being by myself. Like I remember walking in, and don't get me wrong, I still did it. I still went in, I still went right to the front and sunbathed, like I did it. And it ended up being great, but I remember feeling nervous. I even remember feeling like self-conscious walking in there. And it is a bit different going into like a full-on beach club by yourself as opposed to like just sitting in a cafe on a beach by yourself. Like would I don't know, I'd probably still be a little bit nervous if I had to go to a beach club by myself. But I just remember the feeling of being a little bit self-conscious when it was in Potato Head in Bali. I just remember feeling self-conscious and thinking to myself, I really hope somebody talks to me. Like, I really hope I meet someone, like anyone that talks to me. And so I don't have to be by myself. I remember having that feeling. And yeah, when I went in, I really felt like I didn't need to speak to anyone. I didn't want to. I didn't even need the distractions. Like I said, I didn't have my phone, or I didn't have like a book or anything, or a journal or none of that. And I think when you look at that, like sometimes I'm obviously harsh on myself, like I was at the start of the episode, but I think when you can look back at things that you've handled differently in your life, then you should celebrate those little wins. Another one was we had the nicest Uber, oh my God, of my life. We went to this villa. It's like Rothschild Villa. The way I'm just dropping these things in as if I was on this like wild trip. Yeah, it's a stunning villa. You go and visit it wherever. We had like some tea. We went in the mornings. We had like tea, breakfast, wherever there. And we had a car back, booked an Uber. I think my friend booked it. This older guy turned up. He was giving chauffeur. We were in, I can't remember what car it was, but it was large. I had the longest space in the back of my feet. I was borderline reclined. The seats hugged me. They had this kind of like thing that came over your head. Like obviously I dozed off. I didn't even fall fully asleep. I don't even think I wanted to miss it, but I was like nuzzling in. I think there was some sort of pillow behind the padding. It was so comfy. This guy was in a suit and he was playing like Frank Sinatra tune vibes. He played my favourite song, Someday When I'm Awfully Low, which is such a lush song. I remember being in Venice and they played it there and I loved it so much. They asked for requests. If any of you have ever watched the vlog, then I'm on about it on that. They asked for requests and that's what I requested and they played and I started to cry. Like, it's such a nice song for me. And that was playing. I mean, my friend were just in silence and we were like, this is the nicest card ever. We were taking videos of it and we were just like, wow. We were so relaxed. It was like a 30-minute journey and we were just like reclining. And literally before we got out, my friend was like, that to the driver, that was the best drive ever. Or she didn't, no, she said something nice on that. She said, that was absolutely amazing. Like, thank you so much. Like, such a nice driver ever. She tipped him €10. Like, we went on a journey quite literally in that car together. And I got out and I was feeling like amazing. But it reminded me when I went to Saint-Tropez, so my first time in south of France was Saint-Tropez for my 21st birthday. And I had no money, obviously. I might have told the story before, I'm sorry. I had no money. Came out of, we went to a beach club, I think it was Nikki Beach. And we got, well, there was no Ubers back then because I'm old. So there was no Ubers. There was no taxis there. So we just said, like, to the, I don't even think we said, I don't know. Somehow we came out, me and my friend, and we were put into this car. And as soon as we got into the car, I was like, this is going to be expensive. Like, it was like all leather, kitted out. Again, the driver was in a suit. But obviously there was no meter. It wasn't like a normal taxi. Anyway, he drove us like literally 10 minutes and he charged us €80, which is absolutely insane. Or was it 80? I can't remember. It was a lot of fucking money. Sorry for swearing. It was a lot of money. And me and my friend got out and we just physically didn't have the cash, and we were literally giving him coins, and he was like, I don't want the coins, and gave him back. And I couldn't even look this man in the eyes. I was so embarrassed. I just kept apologising. Gave him quite literally all the money we had, like to this driver who clearly didn't need it. €80 for a 10-minute drive, like blatantly ripping us off. Anyway, and it was like really, really embarrassing, and we didn't have the money. And then I look back now and I'm like, wow, not that this car even cost €80, because it was on Uber. It was about 30 split between us. But it still just like felt nice. It felt like a growth moment, like even sitting in Eden Rock, like I think when you're in your 20s, your 30s seem scary. Like lots of people have when they turn 30. It's like a fear if you haven't got your life together. Basically, if you're not married, if you haven't got kids, and it can feel really scary. And even though my 30s haven't all been, I mean, I'm only 2 years in. And 2 years in, obviously, you know, the last few months of my 30s, you know, not the best, but also there's been still so much growth, like even in like these last 6 months. And yeah, if anyone is under 30 and listening, like it's really not all bad. Like I really wish I didn't spend my 20s stressing about getting older. Like I said, when I turned 25, oh my God, it was just like the world was ending, and I stressed myself out so much. And then when I was 27, I was like, I have to have my career. I've got to go into this job that I don't want to do and that I actually hate, but I have to go into it because it's good money and it's going to be good on your CV and you've got to settle down, and like trying to like race and tick all these things. And then when you actually reach 30, like it's really not that bad, and you can kind of think actually like none of this stuff is worth it, and like you want different things, and nothing's ever really as bad as you think. And I hear older people say this like about their 40s and stuff, and me and my friend said this, like she said something like, because she's just broken up with a boyfriend, she was like, do you know what, though, at least it's happened now and not when, you know, 10 years down the line, like if we were married and this and that. And I said, yeah, completely, I get you, but I said, I guarantee that if that happened, you know, with this partner or another partner, it still wouldn't be as bad as you think, because you always just end up dealing with it. You just end up dealing with your life. And I think if you commit to it, you can always find good in stuff that's happened and all these reasons. Like, look at that story we just read. Like, if you'd said to her, right, over the next, I don't know how long that story was in total, say 8 or 10 years, this is what's going to happen to you. Do you want that? You'd be like, oh God, no, I just want to get pregnant and I want it to work straight away with that partner. That's like what people like think they want. But then like shit happens and stuff changes over your life, and you always just pick yourself up, and things always do happen for a reason. So yeah, that's my positive notes for this week. In stark contrast, came back from holidays, went into the office the next day, first day back in London, it's rush hour, I'm listening to a calming podcast, I'm trying to get my head in the game. I'm walking in the city, I look down, there's a dead rat on his back. I've never seen a dead rat on his back. It was literally like a cartoon like this. Like if you were to picture a dead rat, it was like that. The way I gasped, I actually made a noise in the street. I went like that. It was like a fear. My heart rate was up. It was absolutely racing. Everything I tried to calm myself down, nobody else batted an eyelid. And I was like, oh my God, welcome back to London, with his quite literally rats on the street, dead, no less. Like, I see the mice at night all the time on the tube. I think they're a little bit cute, I'm not gonna lie. A rat? I don't even know if I've ever seen a rat in real life. This might have been my first time. You know, apart from some questionable guys I've been involved with. No, that's a joke. It was too easy to slip into. Horrendous. Actually, guys, I have to tell you, this is not... Rats isn't what reminded me of it, because this guy wasn't a rat. But, do you know I told you about the guy I used to date who was now on OnlyFans? Guys, he found me. He found me again on Instagram. And I say again, because this has happened on and off over the years. This man was in my life. I just gotta be 7 years ago? It's gotta be, top of my head. We're pushing 7, 8 years ago. Might even be 9. It's a long time. I started talking to him before I moved to London. Right on that cusp of time, he caught me when I was like coming up and staying for a weekend with my friends and going back, like when I was trying to get signed and stuff. It's a long time ago. And he's reached out sporadically over the years, always the same type of way. And I don't know how or why he came to me this time. I don't know if I popped up on his page. God forbid the story about the OnlyFans popped up. But that was my first thought. I thought, oh my God, he's heard me talking about having like an ex on OnlyFans. But he couldn't have taken offence by it unless he did hear that and thought, oh, she's interested. He obviously didn't listen to the full episode. He found me and messaged me and said, hey, stranger. I'm like, yes, stranger, please, let's keep it that way. I want to be a stranger from you. I long for you to forget my name, forget about me, forget I live, forget who I am, forget every part of me. I can't explain how much this person gives me a physical reaction. It's the weirdest thing. I can't unpack it. Like, should I be talking to my therapist about it? Because this guy did absolutely nothing wrong to me. But I would rather, quite literally, anybody else I've dated, I'm talking anyone, anybody, other than him, and he never did a single thing wrong to me. Made me recoil. I'm like, please, please just forget who I am. Like, I should just block him. I just ignored him and then he unsent the message and unfollowed me. I'm like, mate, I've seen it. The damage is already done. I sound like such a bitch. And I don't like it. But can you believe he found me again? I don't know when the last message was. It's maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. Why? Why are you still around? Do you know I can't look at peaches anymore the same way? You know donut peaches? I think that's what they're called. The little flat round peaches. I can't look at those without thinking about this guy, because I remember being in the kitchen with him and his nan, and his nan was lovely, but again, the whole thing makes me sick to my stomach. And I was saying, I've bought donut peaches, and I'd never seen them or tried them before. I was a little girl from the valleys. I'd never seen a donut peach. And I was like, oh, okay. And I tried them and they were delicious and I absolutely loved them. And then I ate them for, a long time after that. I can't have them anymore. Literally, when I was on holidays, I saw them and I thought, oh, you're so tasty and succulent and juicy, but I can't have you because you just transport me back to being in that kitchen. And it was just such a bad time that I just can't deal with it. So all these years later, my life is still getting ruined. I really wonder if I'm having that effect on somebody else. I hope not. But I also don't think I would message somebody after 8 years saying, hey, stranger. But who knows? Who knows? But it is very interesting. I don't know the reason behind it, but it's mentally scarring. Anyway, I had to tell you. Dramatic much? Not at all. Okay, well, I think I'll wrap it up. I'm sorry I've only had one story this week and all the rest have been my thoughts, my little monologue. Please, if you've got any stories or just like a funny story or any dating stories, any dramas of the week that you've been going through, then please, please, please come and let us know. Like I said, Sadie at Love What Luck, or give me a DM. Please make sure you're following me and subscribed and all the rest of it. My friend's on her way up, Abby, and I'm hoping she'll come on the podcast next week with me because it'd be nice to, like I said last time, to have some company. So yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a girly weekend, I think. So yeah. That's it. Hope you all have an amazing week and I'll speak to you next Tuesday.